Out here in the wilds of the internet, you might be forgiven for thinking that you need the most powerful bike or the best suspension and premium components and a huge price tag to have fun on a motorcycle. But in the dual sport world, the most important thing to have on a motorcycle is versatility, being a jack of all trades but a master of none. So why is versatility so important in a dual sport motorcycle? Well, dual sport, when you boil it down to its essence, really is just another term for a versatile motorcycle. Dual sports are made with the idea of being able to do a little bit of everything, but they're not going to be the best at any particular category that you send them into. On the weekend, you can spend your Saturday riding with your mates on 1250 GSs and Africa Twins. On the Sunday, you can turn up to a Go Trail ride with your mates on the 350 EXC and the Beta 390 RRs. And then when it comes to the working week, you can hop on the bike and do the commute. It will do it all and it will do it happily. Will it be the best at any of those particular things? No, but it can do all of those things better than any other motorcycle. And when it comes to versatility, the 300L is the king. It is the quintessential dual sport, and I want to talk about the features that all come together to make this such a versatile machine. It's not the most powerful motor in the world, but it's got the power and the torque where it's needed and when it's needed. It's nice and low for the torque. You don't have to rev it too much, so it has that tractor factor when you're doing the tight, sweeping single track, and you just need that torque to get you through and to not worry about stalling the bike every 10 meters. And then when you're all said and done and you got to head home on the highway for an hour plus, it's got the motor to do that as well. And that's what separates it from the 250s. Even though it's only a few cc's more, those cc's really make the difference. And on top of that, it really is great at the commute too. Because of that bottom end torque, it's quite zippy off the line, but it's also revvy enough and got enough of a top end that you can overtake with some confidence and keep ahead of traffic. Now the gearbox is one of those things that if Honda had have got this wrong, it would have completely ruined the motorcycle. Being 6 speeds and that perfect ratio, whatever the Honda wizards did, they did it right because it's just perfect. The gearbox ratios are matched perfectly to the size of the motor. The 250s I've owned, like the WR250R, had just as good a gearbox as the 300L, but when it was out on the open road and you had your gear on and you got a headwind, the WR250R, it was almost impossible to keep hold of that 6th gear. You had to go down to 5th, which means more buzzing, which translated to more fatigue. Whereas with the 300L, carries that weight a little better, so I can stay in 6th gear where it's a little more pleasant. So I've got more stamina when I get to the end of the ride, which is important if you're doing a multi-day trip and it's all about stamina and conserving energy. The first 5 gears are very close ratio, so that means it's fantastic off-road when you're doing the tight, twisty stuff or even just regular off-road riding. And then that 6th speed is saved for an overdrive, and that was the problem with the WR250R. Had the same gearbox, it would stall very easily in the first couple of gears in goat trails because it was such a revvy motor. You had to really pay attention to keeping it on the boil not to stall out. It's not the case with this bike, so I can spend more concentration staying upright, riding the motorcycle rather than fighting the motor. A light clutch can really make the difference between a great day and a terrible day, particularly if you're A, a beginner, B, a returning rider, or C, someone like me that's been flattened by a car before and has lots of injuries. A super light clutch that just lowers the fatigue on the upper body, particularly my left arm, which is the worst of everything, means just that the pain is not quite as intense. It means I can ride longer without really getting into significant discomfort. So if you're in and out of traffic, first, second, third, first, second, it really is worth its weight in gold to have as light a clutch as possible, and the clutch on the 300L is almost telepathic. And that's the same for the single track too, fighting the bike to pull the clutch in and out as you're feathering it, because remember, off-road, particularly in those really low gear situations, your clutch basically is your traction control, so you'll be modulating it a lot in the really difficult stuff. Having a light clutch means that you can ride far longer and enjoy it far more than having a heavy clutch and fighting the bike for all that difficult stuff. Another big one that lends itself to the versatility of your motorcycle is the accessory market. And that was one of the really surprising things with the 300L, just how quickly the accessory market was developed around the bike. Whether you want to turn it into a super motard or you want to turn this bike into the ultimate global traveler, it can do all of that from the accessory market and everything in between. Customize it to just how you want the bike to be. And that, I think, is the quintessential definition of versatility. The next thing on the list is running costs, which will require a little bit of cognitive gymnastics to fit into the versatility framework, but I'll try and get there. So running costs are really impressive with this bike. Whether it's the super frugal 30 kilometers per liter that I get on average, or the fact that this requires such little attention in maintenance. So it keeps your time and your money in your pocket, which means more time in the saddle and less time working on the bike. But on top of that, it saves you money because you're not paying very much for insurance. You're not paying to maintain the bike, and you're not paying lots to put fuel in the bike either, because it's such a cheap motorcycle to own and operate. It is also a cheap bike to purchase, which allows you the versatility to choose what you do with the savings you've got from this bike. How much a dual sport weighs is probably the most important feature I pay attention to when I'm purchasing a dual sport, because the weight of the bike will determine the capability of the bike. Will it be light enough to get through the tough single track and easy enough to pick up multiple times in a day, but will it have enough weight to still remain stable and comfortable out on the open road to a relative degree? And I think the Honda does a great job of balancing both. At 142 kilos, it's light enough to pick up on the regular. You don't feel like you're fighting it in the tight and twisty stuff. And because the 300L is not too heavy and not too light, it really is opened up to all kinds of riding, which again translates to this being such a great jack of all trades. So many bikes claim to be off-road motorcycles, but when you get to the dirt and you want to turn off the ABS and the traction control, suddenly you got to go through 6 different sub-menus, do a dance to the fertility gods, and pray that the ABS is turned off. The fact that with the 300L, there's no sub-menus, there's a nice big button, you just hold it for a couple of seconds, boom, off, forget about it, hit the trail, and get on enjoying the ride with your mates. There's none of the bullshit. I want that ABS, but I don't want it to interfere with my experience off-road. And Honda have managed to balance that perfectly. So the fact that the 300L has ABS on it, being able to turn it off for maximum control off-road, being able to turn it on for maximum safety on-road, means it's available to a whole pile of countries, to a wider range of people. So that in itself lends to versatility as well, which has secondary effects like more accessories, more demand, more popularity, and more fixes for any problems that might pop up. Affordability is another one of those things that really helps the 300L be a Swiss Army knife of a motorcycle. I say that because a lot of other motorcycles like enduros or high-end adventure bikes really are priced out of a lot of people's affordability range. Whether you're 80 years old or 20 years old, you can hop on this motorcycle and have a great time and tailor it to your needs and your riding styles. Again, another reason why the CRF300L is such a versatile machine. When all those features come together, it makes a bike that's just so damn fantastic and special, particularly for this time in the market. This is a truly global bike that's accessible to everyone. But the fact that it's in this present time when emission standards are getting so tight, we're staring down the barrel of an onslaught of electric bikes and all the old faithfuls are dropping like flies. Here we have this lightweight, versatile, do everything, extremely reliable and durable dual sport, flying the flag for all us lovers of dual sport ridings. I really think that the CRF300L is something special and will be added to the pantheon of the greats. See you next time.